For most accounting firms, compliance is the engine room. I'm sure it is for you. It's constant, it's predictable, but it also has a ceiling. So what if I told you that every single compliance job you're already doing holds the key to unlocking some seriously high-value advisory services? Okay, let's dive into a really disciplined system for making that happen. All right. Let's just put a number on the table. $340,000. For a lot of accounting firms, this number probably feels pretty familiar. It's the average profit per partner for a practice that's built on compliance work. Yes, it's steady. Sure, it's reliable, but for so many, it's a hard ceiling. It's a plateau. So what's the natural instinct? Let's just add some advisory services on top. But this leads to what we'll call the accountant's leverage problem. See, the thing is, most firms don't really have a workload problem. They have a leverage problem. And just throwing unstructured ad hoc advisory into the mix, well, that can actually make things worse. And this is where things get kind of weird and really counterintuitive. You've got the compliance firms chugging along at that $340K mark. But the firms that start layering in that occasional off-the-cuff advisory, a lot of them actually see their profitability drop, sometimes by as much as 30%. Why? Because you're giving away all this on price time, right? All those extra meetings that custom work, it just eats away at your margins. And that right there brings us to the key difference. The most profitable firms out there. They don't just do a bit of advisory. They run it like a well-oiled system right alongside their compliance work. And the results, they're kind of staggering. We're talking 2 to 3 times the profit per partner. It's proof that it's not about grinding harder. It's about being smarter and delivering advisory through a real structure, not just random effort. So how do you build that structure? Well, it all starts by changing the entire conversation you have with your clients. It stops being about just reporting their numbers back to them. It becomes about who you compare those numbers to. You know, the great Edwards Deming, the absolute legend of quality management. He nailed this idea perfectly. He said real improvement only happens when you measure yourself against a higher standard. And in business, that higher standard isn't the average guy down the street. It's the top performers. And that brings us to the core idea of all of this top 20% benchmarking. This simple method stops you from asking if a client's business looks average. I mean, who wants to be average? Instead, it compares their financial DNA directly against the best-in-class companies in their field. It totally reframes the conversation from, so are we doing okay, to, wow, how far are we from the absolute best? And what is that gap actually costing us in real dollars? Okay, so that's the big idea. But how do you actually do it? That's where this 5-minute system comes in. Think of it as a framework that's designed to be fast, to be actionable. And this is the best part, to fit seamlessly inside the year and work you are already doing. No extra meetings, no giving away. Your best thinking for the whole system really just boils down to 3 simple but super powerful principles. First, you benchmark against the top 20%, not the average, because average just makes people comfortable and comfortable. People don't take action. Second, you focus only on the 7 core levers that actually run a business's economic engine. And third, you find the gap. And this is crucial. You put a real dollar figure on it. And these are the 7 levers. Think of them as the 7 dials on the economic dashboard of any business. If your cost of goods sold is out of whack, forget about healthy margins.
If your wages are inefficient, then growth actually destroys your profit. And if the owner is underpaid, then that profit you're seeing is just an illusion. This isn't just accounting theory, folks. This is commercial reality. And check out how easily this slots into a meeting you're already having. First, you finish up the compliance review. Then you just pivot the conversation to performance.
You quickly compare their cost structure to those top 20% KPIs. Then you turn any performance gap you find into hard dollars. Next. And this is key. You find the one biggest leak after you normalize the owner's pay to get a true picture. You are in the perfect position to recommend a structured advisory package to fix that one specific problem. It's that lean okay theory is great, but let's make this real. Let's look at an actual case study and see how a $64,000 profit gap was found at a premium cosmetics clinic. We'll call them JAMA Aesthetics. So picture this: the year-end meeting is done. Compliance is all buttoned up, and the accountant slides this table across the desk. Now, on the surface, this is a really strong business. And when you look closer, hey, rent is right on target. And wages, they're actually better than best practice. But look down here at the bottom line. That is a $64,000 gap in net profit. And this is where the discipline of the system really shines. It's not about finding 10 little things to fix. It's about finding the one big thing. And for this businessman, it was staring them right in the face. Their cost of goods sold was way, way above the top 20% standard. It wasn't about a dozen small problems. It was about one big one. In fact, check this out. That one single variance in their cost of goods sold accounted for almost the entire profit gap. We're talking nearly $59,000 in lost profit just from that one lever being out of alignment. That's money just gone. And that's the magic moment. That's when the conversation completely changes. The client, Gemma, she looked at these numbers and asked that exact question. And just like that, the discussion flipped from a backward-looking explanation to a forward-looking plan of action. The focus got razor sharp. We need to get our COGS discipline back in line with the top 20%. See, that whole story just perfectly shows what this is all about. It's about making that discipline shift, moving away from scattered random advice, and toward a systemized high-value service that gets real, tangible results for your clients. And I really want to hammer this point home. A huge part of this is just focus. You're not trying to boil the ocean here, trying to fix 10, but when you identify one clear issue, you create one clear path to action. And this brings up another super important technique about how you talk to clients. Remember, this percentage is explain, but dollars decide. Telling a client their COGS is off by 5% feels abstract, but telling them they have a $59,000 profit leak that feels urgent, that makes them want to act. So when you get right down to it, this is all about a fundamental shift in your thinking. Compliance is essential. Of course it is. It pays the bills, but structured, systemized advisory built right on the back of the work you're already doing. That's what creates real wealth for your clients and for your firm. So let me just leave you with this one thought to chew on. Imagine using this disciplined 5-minute process with every single one of your business clients at their next year-end meeting. If you could find just one significant profit leak for each of them, what would that really do for their businesses? And maybe more importantly, what would that do for your practice?